Good afternoon, everyone. This is your host, Rishi Agrawal. It's 2 past 3. Thank you so much for joining in. We have a pretty houseful today for this topic on planning your compliance automation in 2020. Let's get started. So, 2020 is here. We are already in the third week of January. I haven't found a single soul in my personal and professional circle who doesn't want to start a new year with new resolutions. These new resolutions are pertaining to things that we would like to accomplish in our personal lives. A lot of us start with weight loss journeys. A lot of us want to hit the gym more often and so on. And as compliance professionals, as compliance officers, as company secretaries, I'm sure bringing in greater efficiency and productivity, getting greater control of your compliance is also one of the key agenda items on your mind. This is the perfect time to set some of those goals, put the ball in motion, and start thinking about how do you get greater control of your compliance in the new year, which is 2020. This webinar, we are going to focus on how to start this journey because, as you all know, compliance is a journey, it's not a destination. Every day when we walk into the organization in our offices, we have to stay on top of what is going on. We work in a highly fluid environment. There are too many changes that keep happening. So when we start this journey, there are a few things that help us move along smoothly and accomplish results that we are looking to accomplish. And this webinar today is going to address various complications around compliances and how to begin a digital journey, how to start thinking about it, how to sow the right seeds so that in weeks and months in 2020, you can make some serious headway. And as a partner, how Avantis can help you get on this journey right away without investing a lot of time and energy. So with that, let's get started. One of the most important things that we all need to acknowledge, and I'm sure as experienced professionals, you see it all the time, is managing compliances in India is complex. Let us spend a few minutes understanding why it is so complex, what are the elements of these complexity, and how can we get past it. Now, compliance is at various levels. If you look at it, we look at three levels: state, central, and local. So any organization who operates in India operates at these three levels. There are central acts and compliances. There are relevant state acts and compliances based on where they are located. And of course, there are local, which includes the municipal corporation, municipality, gram panchayat, zilla parishads, and so on. So that is the first level of complexity, which is levels. The second, compliances across the law of the land, they fall in 6 broad categories. Labor, we are all very familiar with all the central and state labor laws around PF, ESI, PT, gratuity, labor welfare fund, professional tax, and so on and so forth. Finance and taxation pertaining to direct taxes, indirect taxes, and so on. Commercial, which includes things like the Electricity Act, the Lift Act, Bureau of Indian Standards, legal metrology. All of these fall broadly under the category of commercial. Secretarial deals with all your SEBI and MCA regulations. All your event-based compliances typically fall under these. EHS deals with environmental health and safety, which deals with air, water, and soil pollution, solid waste management, e-waste management, disposal of biomedical waste. A lot of those kinds of items fall under the EHS. Industry specific deals with compliances applicable if you operate in specific industries. If you are a telecom provider, then TRI becomes applicable. If you are an NBFC within housing finance, then NHB, RBI become applicable. If you are doing food processing, then FSSAI and all the rules become applicable and so on. And these compliances typically are applicable to specific industries, not in a broad-based way. The next item is type. Compliances have 3 broad types: time-based, event-based, and checklisted. Time-based, as the name suggests, happen on a frequency, monthly, quarterly, half yearly, annually, and so on. Event based, there are broadly two types. Secretarial events, which we just discussed, fall into the SEBI and MCA categories, which include appointments, resignations, various kinds of meetings such as board meetings, AGMs, and so on. And non secretarial, which could include change of factory manager, change of address, fire in the factory, death of an employee at the workplace. Now, all of these are event-based compliances because they trigger regulatory obligations on part of an employer to follow certain statutory checklists just in case any one of these event happens. So that's why we call them event-based compliance, but non-secretarial in nature. And last but not the least on this slide is checklisted. These are those compliances which need to be done where they don't have a start date, they don't have an end date, there is no periodicity or frequency. They have to be done on an ongoing basis. Examples of various maintenance of registers on an ongoing basis, various displays at your receptions in local languages in various states, under the shops and establishment, and various other displays of key abstracts of HR acts, they all fall under the checklisted compliances. So as you can see clearly, we are dealing with three levels: central, state, and local. We are dealing with 6 categories: labor, finance and taxation, commercial, secretarial, EHS, industry specific, and we are dealing with 3 types: time-based, event-based, and checklisted. All of these, as you can clearly see, makes the compliance environment in India to be fairly complex, requires a lot of resources and expertise to manage some of this complexity. So let's move on. What we just discussed translates into about 1100 plus acts, 58,000 plus compliances, and 3,000 plus filings on an annual basis. These translate into about 3,000 changes per year. So an additional degree of complexity that gets added in India is a highly fluid regulatory environment. I invite you all to visit our website at avantis.co.in. You will find the URL at the bottom right hand corner of the screen. Please visit there. This is India's first and the only real-time legal updates platform, where any legal update that comes across 1100 plus acts across the law of the land in all the 6 categories, we analyze, our team of legal experts analyze it in the back end, and within 24 hours typically of the notification, we are able to put it on our website along with the link to the regulatory form. You can sign up for a daily, weekly, and monthly newsletter, which you can personalize based on your interest, which includes the states in which you operate, the industries which are of relevance and interest to you, various regulators that you would like to follow. All of these things can be configured on the system. So this is an additional element of complexity, which is a highly fluid regulatory environment. Now, this is a slide that some of you may have seen in the past, but I always like to bring that in order to jog our collective memories on how the compliance burden in India is. We have modeled this slide into a small, medium, and large size organization, and all of this data is from our existing clients, anonymously put here. So as you can see, for a small business in India, which has 1 factory and 1 headquarter, they typically deal with about 23 licenses, 60 plus applicable acts, 700 plus applicable compliances, and about 120 filings a year. When we talk about 120 filings a year, it typically translates into 1 filing every 2nd business day. And as you increase in size and complexity from a small to a medium-sized organization with 6 plants, you can see the jump in number of licenses and registrations from 23 to 98. Applicable acts go up to 135, and the number of compliances grow from 750 to over 5,000, along with number of filings moving from 120 to about 530 plus. 530 plus filings, folks, in a typical year translates into about 2.5 filing a day. And a mid-sized organization that we are talking about here has about 6 different plants and factories in 6 different states. And you can clearly see that the compliance burden has simply skyrocketed from about 750 to about 5,500. What's worse is that various subjects which are state subjects in India They all have different eligibility and applicability criteria. They have different structures. They have different computations. They deal with different kinds of forms. They have different frequencies of filings. And all of these things are not easy to remember. A poor typical compliance officer who's currently still working in the traditional ways often ends up missing compliances, missing timelines for no fault of theirs. The number of compliances are way too many for them to remember off the top of their head across states, and the kind of complexity and knowledge that it requires is simply mind-blowing. Now, moving on from medium to a large organization, you can see that a large organization in our scenario has about 11 plants, and the number of compliances have passed 9,000. So you're dealing with over 9,500 compliances, with about 940 filings a year, with 210 applicable acts and 163 licenses and registrations. As you can clearly see that for a company which has a geographically spread footprint in India, managing compliances is more than a one-person responsibility, which is the typical resource allocation in mid to large organizations, where there is one compliance officer who is being tagged with managing the entire compliance burden of a company. So unless this compliance officer has been empowered with various tools, chances are that in spite of their best efforts, they will not be able to manage this compliance burden. And that is where, folks, today we are going to talk about how do we help this compliance officer, what kind of tools can help them, how do they stay on top of all the regulatory updates that are happening, how do they stay on top of all the upcoming dates, and so on. And that brings me to my next slide on what are the various types of compliances, or what are the various examples of these compliances that our compliance officer deals with. They deal with multiple licenses, registrations, permissions, consent orders, various kinds of returns under 6 different broad categories, maintenance of various kinds of registers, challans, payments, remittances, renewals. These are some examples, and by no means I'm saying that this is a comprehensive list, but I'm sure when you look at some of these, you can relate to your compliance obligations in your company, and you can clearly see that these are some examples that come up. So when we talk about just a large organization with a branch kind of a structure, each of these branches will have a SNE compliances. Each one of these will need a renewal on periodicity of their SNE license. There are about 10 to 15 registers that they have to maintain. At a branch level, there are about 10 to 15 displays, depending on which industry they are operating in, that they need to maintain at a branch level, which is a part of their checklisted compliances. And when you start multiplying them across states and across branches in various municipal corporations that you're dealing with, suddenly the compliance burden mushrooms into few tens of thousands. We have one customer which is spread across 5,000 branches in India, and believe it or not, they are dealing with about 25 to 30 renewals on Shop Act just on a daily basis. And managing that kind of a compliance burden across various state laws, where complexity can be different level, digitization levels can be different, is non-trivial by any standard. So this is what we are talking about. Let's move forward to the topic of our discussion today. So in the first part of this webinar today, what we ended up painting is the fact that managing compliances in India is extremely complex. If you are a mid to a large sized organization with a geographically spread footprint, you're dealing with central, state, local, you're dealing with 6 categories, you're dealing with 3 types in a highly fluid environment. And that's what we are going to see how this can be helped in 2020. So let's look at what are the key building blocks. Digitization is the only solution to compliance management, to a proper compliance management. Now, let us first look at what are the business benefits of digitization, and then we'll get to the specifics. There are 4 fundamental building blocks of a great compliance program. The first and the foremost is transparency. Under the Companies Act of 2013, the KMPs, which is key management personnel, and the board are accountable, and there are provisions for criminal proceedings and jail term for serious non-compliance. So while from an act perspective, there's a lot more teeth, in reality, the KMPs lack the tools that are required. So what are the key items that they need to focus on? First and the foremost is what acts and compliances are applicable. So this is a common problem across companies. They don't have a single list of all the applicable acts and compliances for their business. And guess what? This list is not a stagnant list. Every day, as you change your business, as you open new offices, as you buy new plant and machinery, as you extend your existing plant, as you start serving new markets, this list also keeps changing because every one of these items have a compliance obligation. So the first biggest problem that a compliance officer is dealing with, it is the applicability of acts and compliance for their business. The second, if there is an act and compliance which is applicable, who is responsible within the company? So as we have seen, for a geographically spread organization with multiple plants, regional offices, and so on, having a single name associated with getting that compliance done can be a Herculean task. So that is the second requirement from a compliance officer perspective, that they need to know what is applicable and who is responsible. Third item is the due date. As we have seen, for various kinds of compliances, time-based or event-based or checklisted, there can be different requirements from a timing perspective. So it is important for a compliance officer to know what is the due date for individual compliances and who's going to be doing that. The fourth item is tracking the status, knowing whether this item has been completed. And if it has not been completed, then what are the issues? Where is it stuck? Is there a vendor issue? Are there decisions pending? Is it stuck at a payment level? Or have we not submitted the right documentation to the department, or whatever it is? From a transparency and visibility point of view, a compliance officer needs to know all of these 5 items in order to stay on top of their program. What is applicable? Who's responsible? When is it due? Has it been completed? And if not, where is it stuck? So that you have the right information with the right people at the right time to make the right interventions to correct the compliance program and make sure that you stay on the right side of the law. So that's the first biggest item, which is transparency. The second biggest item is accountability. We've kind of covered that in transparency, but again, reiterating it, ownership and accountability is critical to a successful and mature compliance program in a company. So when we talk about accountability, we look at 2 aspects. Who's responsible? So whose neck is on the line? Who's responsible for getting this item done? Whether it is a registration, license, renewal, consent order, or filing return registration, doesn't matter. There has to be a named individual who is responsible for getting this job done, and not just having a named individual for the heck of it, but making sure that that person has the right level of information and knowledge to get this compliance done. At the same time, they know that this is a part of, and within this, not just getting the job done, but also making sure that there is a maker checker or a reviewer process, so that the job that gets done has been done comprehensively as per the requirement of the law. So from an accountability perspective, there are 2 items: who's the doer and who's the reviewer, and making sure they are trained comprehensively to get the job done. The third real important item here is timeliness. No compliance program in the world is useful unless timeliness has been taken care of. And what that really means is making sure that we know the date, and we also know whether the job got done or not. And if it didn't get done, we have a view into aging of that with respect to location, entity, risk, and individuals who are responsible, so that we can make appropriate interventions. And last but not the least is traceability. So as your compliance program matures, you will find that in spite of your best intentions, there will be compliances which will get missed. Sins of omission and sins of commission is what we call them at Aventis, where sins of omission are things that you got missed because of people's memory, and sins of commission is where you did the job but did it incorrectly because you ended up using a wrong format or a wrong date, or you calculated the penalty or interest or duty incorrectly because you were leaning on old data, and so on. And that is where at that time you will need to have enough visibility into the history so that you can identify the root cause, whether it was a people issue, process issue, legal update issue, and can do appropriate root cause analysis and take the corrective step so that we can reinforce our people, process, and technology framework to avoid repeating such mistakes in the future. And that is where traceability comes in. So on this slide, folks, we have seen what can technology do for us and what are those key building blocks: transparency and visibility, accountability, timeliness, and traceability. And let us now move forward and see how this translates into real product. Now, when you start your compliance journey in 2020, there are a few things which are tangible from a technology perspective, and there are a few that you should start doing at your organization level to start changing the culture. The first and the most important thing before you start doing technology is to start working on your organizational readiness. What are the various elements under organizational readiness? The first and the most important is increase the executive sponsorship. Every day when I meet executives of various large and medium organizations, one of the questions that I ask them is whether their organization is compliant. So this is a straight question that I ask to various executives. Do you think your company is compliant? And guess what the response is? I often hear a hesitant yes. A hesitant yes, folks, because they think they are compliant. And when I drill down into this question as to why they think they are compliant, answer often is because we don't have an open notice or we don't have too many notices. The unfortunate part of this answer is executives at senior levels, they often think that if there are no open notices, their organization is compliant. And lack of notices is used as a proxy for thinking that you're compliant, and that is a misnomer. So we have to start right there. A lot of executives in the company, their awareness on compliance and the applicability is not too high. One of the follow-up questions I have for some of these executives is how many compliances do you think you have in your company? And most of them say that we may have 100 to 150 compliances. And you know, based on the previous slides that you've seen, it sounds like a joke, because the number of compliances is not 100 to 150. They are several hundred, if not several thousand. And the issue begins right there. We as compliance officers need to start working to enhance the executive sponsorship, awareness of the type, complexity, and scope of these compliances. And once executives start understanding that the compliances are so complex, their ability to start planning for maturity will improve. So that's the first one. Second, as compliance officers, it's important to set the goals for compliance in this year. A lot of times, compliance is an afterthought. We think of it as one of the business as usual items, not thinking that the cost of poor compliance in the last 5 years in India has shot up significantly. In the good old days, gone are the days where chalta hai, hota hai, dekh lenge sort of a culture used to be there. Today, there is a lot more teeth in the law. The cost of non-compliance has gone up. So as compliance officers, I would request all of you to start thinking about what are your compliance goals in this year. Do you know how many compliances are you responsible for? Do you have tracking sheets and structures? Are you on top of your legal updates? Do you know the statuses of some of these, or are you still investing most of your time? And believe it or not, you know, I'm sure a lot of you are lawyers, a lot of you are company secretaries, you've spent a significant time in the industry. And if you look at how you are spending your time, you will realize that most of that time in tracking the statuses of compliances in your company is a clerical job. Ask yourself this question: should you be investing more time in strategizing and planning your compliances, or should you be spending all that time, critical, valuable time, in making phone calls, asking people for evidences, and when you receive a notice, running from pillar to post, trying to create a response to that notice, working with internal or external attorneys to get that done? Is this a better use of your time? Is firefighting the right way to manage your compliances? And that is where start with setting some critical, tangible compliance goals for 2020. The next item here is aligning organizational compliance goals in the leadership KRAs. As we discussed earlier, there are 6 broad categories of compliance: labor, finance and taxation, commercial, secretarial, industry specific, and environmental, health and safety. When we talk about these 6 categories, typically they roll up to different organizational leaders in the organization. And it is important that as compliance officer, you realize that all these goals are not going to be yours. The compliance, which are functional in nature, will have to roll up to the corresponding factory heads and functional heads. And from a KRA perspective, you should start working with your HR and set these goals in their KRAs as well, so that they know that this is a part of their day-to-day responsibilities. The next item here, as we had discussed, the compliance environment in India is highly fluid. There are many changes in a day. So I invite you to go to avantis.co.in. The URL is there at the bottom right hand of the slide, and check out the number of updates that happen on a day-to-day basis. The first step to your digital journey is to go ahead and subscribe to our free legal updates newsletter, which can be daily, weekly, or monthly, based on your preference of central, various states that you are responsible for, various categories, which includes labor, finance, and taxation, and others, various regulators that you would like to track, any specific keywords that you are interested in, and you can get a compliance newsletter with all the latest legal updates delivered to your mailbox for free. That will take care of one of the critical asks in your organization, that is knowing how things are changing, getting a hold of all these notifications, and trusting a reliable source of technology to be able to deliver these notifications to you in an email for free. So that's one thing that I would request all of you to get started, and it takes literally under 2 minutes to subscribe to our newsletter. The next item is download a free resource that we have created, and we have invested a lot of time, effort, and energy and money in building a rules book app. If you look at Play Store or App Store and type rules book, RULEZBOOK, you will come across one of the best apps in the industry today, and the only app in industry today which offers national, comprehensive, personalized, and real-time legal updates on your app for free in a highly search, sort, filter kind of a mechanism. So today, your digital journey can start with going to our website and subscribing to our newsletter, downloading our app for free, and onboarding yourself on the app in less than 2 to 3 minutes, and starting to get all these legal updates on the mobile platform for free. The app is available on App Store and Play Store. So your digital journey can start without you even investing a penny in buying a piece of software. The next and the last item on this from a readiness perspective is start thinking digital. The world has been transformed with digital technologies. We have seen how the Swiggies and the Zomatos of the world have changed the way we consume food, how Ubers and Olas of the world have changed the way we consume urban transportation. And examples of this nature are galore in the environment, both professional and personal, right around us. Ask yourself this question: is there a specific need why you need to continue to work in the good old ways of ad hoc, paper-based, and people-dependent compliance program? Or should you, in the new environment where the cost of compliance has gone up, non-compliance has gone up significantly, and the complexity of compliance is what it is with the regulatory cholesterol that India brings to the table, should you continue to operate in an ad hoc, people-dependent, and paper-based compliance program? Or should you be using the power of digital tools to start staying on greater control, having transparency, visibility, accountability, timeliness, and traceability to your compliance program, and start focusing more percentage of your time not on clerical work or follow-ups on emails and phone calls, but actually doing strategic planning, thinking, and spending a lot of your time on understanding the legal ecosystem and taking your organization's compliance culture to the next level, because that's where the real value that you can bring to the table. So you should start thinking about digitization and start talking to the vendors around you for beginning a digital journey. Now, when you start thinking about a digital software, it's very important to know that it needs to have some key features. What are those key features? We will talk about them in the next 10 minutes, and then we'll wrap up this webinar. The first and the most important feature to have is smart dashboards. Now, dashboards are your view into a compliance program of the company. Some of the vendors can tell you that we have all the data, but in this day and age, data is not a problem. Making sense of the data is the problem. And that's where getting the right data in front of the right people at the right time so that they can take appropriate actions is what a dashboard can do. A color coded dashboard can help you make sense of that data and quickly take actions in seconds. The second item here is the software should have native mobile apps. When I talk about native mobile apps, I'm talking about iOS and Android based apps which can enrich your experience of all your legal updates, notifications, alerts, escalations, and reminders on your phone so that you don't have to constantly log on to web application if you have to take action on specific items. A mobile app should be able to alert you on all of these items. Now imagine a scenario where in the morning you wake up and you find out that a critical compliance with a high risk has now been modified, the date has changed or the sample form has changed, and all of this information is available to you on your mobile phone so that within seconds you know exactly what to do and what actions to take, versus a scenario where you go ahead and make a filing, 2 months later you find that that filing got rejected because you were using an old form, or the duty structure or penalty structure or interest calculations were done incorrectly because you never knew that the law had changed. So that's where the power of native mobile apps comes in. All of us are very, very happy to use mobile phones because they are available to us all the time when we are working versus when we are not. So anything that's available on the mobile phone has a better chance of getting consumed by yourself and by various stakeholders within the organization. The third item here is that the software should have legal updates and notifications. It's very important to have the software integrated with the best compliance database, and that compliance database needs to be current because believe it or not, in the last 1 year, there have been over 2,500 to 3,000 legal updates and changes that have happened across the law of the land. So if you don't get these notifications, the software is going to be of no use because you may still be doing compliances in an incorrect manner. The fourth item is the software should come integrated with a compliance database which is comprehensive, national, which covers 28 states and 9 union territories, all the central, state, local, and union territories kind of compliances, time-based, event-based, and checklisted kind of compliances, and is updated on an hourly basis. So it's important that the technology product or platform that you're planning to use needs to have integrated with a comprehensive, national, personalized, and real-time compliance database. And last but not the least is an integrated document management system where a compliance typically will end up generating documents, either working files or compliance documents like permissions, approvals, consent orders, and so on and so forth. So the documents need to be available in context of what you're trying to do, so that in future, if you have to search, sort, filter, get to these documents, then you don't have to go run from pillar to post looking for these documents in your folders, in your drawers, and so on and so forth. Let's get to the next level of detail. The first questions you need to ask is, does the software cover all the compliance types? And we discussed in the past, there are multiple compliance types: time-based, event-based, and ongoing. Time-based, we discussed, has a frequency, activate an event, and ongoing is something that you need to do on an ongoing basis. So ongoing items, some companies prefer to review them monthly, some prefer to review them quarterly, some half yearly, some annually. Our product at Avantis provides all the permutations and combinations to suit the need of your business. So when you look for a compliance management software, you need to make sure that the product covers all of them. Now, one of the most important things here, beyond coverage for time-based, event-based, and ongoing, is does this product also offer you internal compliances? A typical company not only complies with the law of the land in India, they also have to do a lot of stuff with respect to their internal systems and compliances. So as an example, there may be maintenance schedules on plant and machinery. There may be testing and recalibration standards that you follow internally. You may have clients internationally who may be holding you to higher standards for which you need to follow things that government of India doesn't ask you to. You may have insurance policies that need to be tracked and managed, which often get missed because you don't remember the due date. You may have company-owned vehicles for which you need to draw PUC certificates and insurance policies. A lot of these kinds of compliances that may be internal to your organization can also be tracked as a part of this platform. Otherwise, you will still have a very disjointed compliance software which will only cover statutory compliances, and you will still end up tracking a lot of internal items outside of this product. So ask yourself the question whether it covers all the types of compliances and whether it provides coverage to statutory and internal compliances. Avocom, Avantis's software, provides a whole framework where we have extended the statutory and regulatory compliance management framework for you to define your own internal compliances and map them. So when we bring you on board, at the time of onboarding, we provide you the service to bring your internal compliances also onboarded. The second question that you need to ask yourself is, does the product have one of the best databases in the country which provides coverage for all the categories? And as we have discussed earlier, there are 6 broad categories: labor, finance and taxation, commercial, secretarial, EHS, and industry specific, that you need to make sure that your software provides for. Between them, we are talking about over 1100 acts, 58,000 compliances, and 3,000 filings in a year. The next item that you need to think about is, does the software provide personalized and real-time updates? We just discussed a few minutes ago that compliance environment in India is highly fluid. You're dealing with about 2,500 to 3,000 legal updates a year, and it's very important to make sure that all the compliances that are applicable to your business, their legal updates come to you in a timely manner. Now, it's also important to make sure that the vendor doesn't dump all the legal updates on you. And oftentimes, it is like finding a needle in the haystack. You may be operating only in 2 states in one industry, and imagine a vendor dumping 2,000 plus legal updates on you and asking you to understand which of these are applicable to you. That doesn't work, folks. You need to have highly relevant and personalized legal updates. The software needs to understand you, your organization, and the applicable compliances, and based on that, provide relevant legal updates only. So it's important that it provides national, comprehensive, real-time, and personalized legal updates based on your configuration and applicability of the business. Because if it doesn't provide that, believe it or not, before too long, the software will become fairly useless. Let's move on to the next item. You need to ask whether the software provides an auto-generated compliance calendar. A compliance calendar is critical to know your compliance obligations in a given period. Whether it is a month or a quarter, it's important to know what's coming up, whether all the compliances due on that date have been completed or not, what has been the status of current and previous and upcoming months, and it needs to be color-coded by day and by status. It also needs to provide coverage for all your statutory, internal, and ongoing compliances. It needs to be integrated with your Outlook client, Office 365, Google for Business, and also available on the mobile app. If these things are not there, believe it or not, in spite of having digitization, chances are you will end up missing critical dates. So ask yourself this question, whether the given software that you are evaluating is providing you auto-generated compliance calendars which are color-coded and integrated with your Google, Outlook, and other calendars. The next item here is to have a lot of flexibility in workflow engines. And one of the biggest problems that I have had with softwares is they often ask companies to change their internal processes to revolve around the software. And one often wonders whether you are buying the software for your convenience or the software is asking you to modify all your processes. Towards that, Avantis has gone ahead and created workflow solutions which are highly configurable. Whether you have process A or process B, whether you have 4 layers, 3 layers, whether your branches roll up to a zone level and zones roll up to a city level, and so on and so forth, all of these permutations and combinations are highly configurable into our system. The maker, checker, approver at various levels with layers of management, custom and standard workflow options, various task management modules to be able to create one or more tasks on any internal or statutory compliances, admin role for self-administration. All of these are examples where we have created a highly flexible workflow engine. So the software that you need to be evaluating needs to have highly flexible workflow engine. Otherwise, you will end up customizing a lot of your organizational and business processes to match the software, and in long term these things don't sustain, these things don't last, and the behaviors go back to the original, and the software's adoption goes from high to zero in a matter of 6 months. So make sure that the software you are evaluating offers you highly flexible workflow engines. In addition, as I said earlier, a software needs to have an integrated document management system which offers various version management functionality, because you may have different versions of various documents and working files that you deal with, and they need to be tamper proof, so that users in your organization cannot simply go and change content at wish and desire. They need to be tamper proof. At the same time, it needs to have very, very high levels of security and high levels of encryption standards, so that people have access only on a need to know and need to have basis. At the same time, there needs to be bulk uploads and downloads. You will have scenarios where at times you would want to upload more than one document, and it will be highly non-productive in 21st century to have a user click one document at a time and waste 15 minutes just uploading documents. You need to have capability in the software for bulk uploads and downloads. At the same time, to add another layer of review, you need to have mandatory review of documents. So what happens today is we are all so busy that when a performer or a maker has sent a document to a checker via the workflow, the checker can simply go select all and approve all even without looking at the document. And that fundamentally defeats the purpose of having a maker-checker role. So towards that, we have integrated something called a mandatory review capability, so that until a reviewer opens the document, the approve or reject button is not even made visible to them. And this ensures that the checker at least opens the document before they are able to approve or reject, so that the required supervision can be obtained. So those are some of the key features that you should look for in a document management system, which should be integrated with the compliance system. One of the key capabilities is to be able to do analytics and reporting. Otherwise, it will just be a data dump. Now, analytics and reporting ensures that you are able to provide the right information to the right people at the right time on mobile phones, mobile apps, emails, standard reports, ad hoc reports, so that you can pull out information at wish by user, by entity, location, by risk, by financial year, by various parameters such as by act, and so on and so forth. So there has to be a very strong reporting capabilities, analytics capabilities in the software to ensure that you can get to the right data at the right time, so that you can stay on top of your compliances. As we had discussed earlier, the need for having a strong native mobile app, which can help you manage all your compliances from the mobile platform. Examples of some of these screenshots I've given here, so that you can stay on top of your compliances. The dashboards are based on roles. The level of information, the access to information is based on what people are responsible for. The notifications come on a real-time basis, which include reminder, alert, escalations, and all the corresponding legal updates, so that just by having access to a mobile phone and your role, you can stay on top of all the compliances that you are accountable for. As I had discussed earlier, this is another mobile app that is available to all of you for free without even spending a penny. You can go to iOS or Android store right now and you can download this app. It will take you under 2 minutes to personalize your journey. It will give you national, real-time, comprehensive and personalized legal update, and you can configure it to suit your states, various regulators, various industries, and various categories of compliances. And the journey can begin by knowing exactly all these acts and compliances along with various legal updates. And this should help you start your digital journey and start experiencing the power of technology to start making your life easier on a day-to-day basis. So that brings me to the end of my presentation today. It is 3:45 as of now. I have attempted to stick to time. Now I'll open the floor for questions. So you can schedule the demo by calling us at 8893594595. I repeat that, it's 8893594595. Alternatively, you can write to us at sales@avantis.co.in. I repeat, it is sales@avantis.co.in. We have physical presence of our business development and sales team across all the major cities in India, and we'll be more than happy to stop by and schedule a demo with you. So the next question that I have is, which is the app? So there are two apps that we are talking about, Lavina, here. Thank you, Lavina, for asking that question. There are two apps that we are talking. One is Rulesbook app. You can search for Rulesbook by spelling Rulezbook, Rulesbook, on iOS and Android platforms in App Store, Play Store. And you can use this within 2 minutes. You can onboard yourself by creating a user ID, password, and identifying the states, industry, and categories of compliances, and you can start receiving this immediately. The second app is for our customers. When you come on board as a customer, at that time, the app will be given to you. That's a second app called Avacom, which is available only to our customers who are onboarded onto the platform, so that we can track and manage the life cycle of all the compliances right there. So there are two apps. One is Rulesbook, which is free. You can download it now and start using. The second is, as a part of our service offering for our customers. The second question that I have here is it applicable to hospitals? The answer is yes. Our product is applicable to hospitals. We are currently working with many hospitals in the country. You may have heard of Medanta Hospitals, which has 9 large hospitals in India, located in various states, and all the compliances which are applicable to hospitals are all there as a part of our product offering. As I had told you earlier, there are there are categories like labor, finance and taxation, secretarial, commercial, EHS, and industry specific, and all these categories are also applicable to the hospitals. Industry specific will have all your hospital specific needs around blood banks, pharmacies, labs, various kinds of other requirements that a hospital needs to have. EHS, which is environmental health and safety, will have things like disposal of biomedical waste and so on, in addition to all the solid waste management and other requirements. So yes, it is applicable to the hospitals, and various large hospitals in India are working with us on this platform. There's the next question. How will Avacom work in coordination with that company? So what will happen, Divyansh, is when we bring you on board, at that time, we will do a one-time product setup. As a part of that setup, we will understand who you are, what you do, what products and services you sell, which markets do you serve, what equipment do you have in your organization, and we do a comprehensive business assessment of you as a company, and then identify all the applicable acts and compliances that are applicable to your business. Once we do that, and after that, we review the list with you, do a gap reporting, and then create a final list which we will map into the system. After that, the users will be created, performers, reviewers, approvers, and management users, and all of these users will be mapped to the respective acts and compliances, and automatically on one fine morning when you go live, all the compliances will start getting triggered in the system, and the right people will start getting the updates, reminders, alerts, notifications, escalations, and they will have to go into the system and start doing these compliances, so that they can you can start tracking and managing all the compliances as a part of the system. That's how it will work. And once you're onboarded, depending on which are the authorized users on the mobile app, they can also see all of these on the mobile app. Where can I get the compliances for our chemical company? The compliances are any company in India, across any industry we work out of. Chemicals are large consumers of our product. Various large companies in India, including Sudarshan Chemicals, Excel Industries, Daiichi Nalco Champion, and others, they are using our software for managing all the compliances applicable to a chemical company. I invite you to go to our website at avantis.co.in. Under the resource section, there are various case studies, and chemicals is a part of those case studies. So please take a look at it when you have a chance, and you will see how we and Avacom can add value to all the compliances of your chemical company. Thank you for asking that. Does the software also cover foreign laws? This is a question from one of our viewers. So when we talk about foreign laws, our product Avacom today is extremely comprehensive with all the Indian acts and compliances. However, we can map the foreign acts and compliances also because the product has been designed in a highly flexible manner, but we do not bring the expertise of interpreting foreign laws. However, if you as a company already have foreign laws, checklist is there, we can map the checklist into our system, but we would not be able to provide the relevant legal updates on those items because we want to continue to focus on India. India is fairly complex, and our key value proposition here is expertise around the law of the land in India. But we support foreign compliances. If you can bring the checklist, we can map them in and you can start tracking them as a part of the same product. I hope, Kunal, that answers your question. So another question that I have here is the software web-based or mobile-based? Good question. Our software is web and mobile enabled. There is a web interface and there is a mobile interface. In this day and age, all of us really would like to have mobile applications so that we can do our work on the move. Mobile applications bring a phenomenal efficiency and productivity gains. So we have the software on mobile. We also have it on web. All the document uploads and downloads are enabled only on the web platform so that you don't inadvertently end up compromising security of your documents. However, approvals, reminders, escalations, legal updates, and notifications can also be done on the mobile platform. So I'll take one last question before we wrap up the event today. Thank you. A lot of questions are here. So somebody has asked again how to schedule a demo. And as I said, you can visit avantis.co.in and you can call us at 8893594595. I repeat, 8893594595, or you can write to us at sales@avantis.co.in. Those are the ways in which you can schedule a quick demo and discussion with us. Another question that has just come in is periodic updates of law available? Yes, periodic updates is available. Let me just share my screen for a second with you and show you how do you find it. So I have taken you to avantis.co.in and you can see that when you scroll through this website, this is a legal updates platform. Updates are tagged by category, by central or state. You can go click any one of them and get to the next level of details. As you can see, yesterday we captured 29 legal updates. This week, in 2 days, we've already captured 31. We have captured 2 since morning. This month, which is less than 20 days right now, we've already captured 178 legal updates. All you have to do is go here and create your own ID. It will take a few seconds and personalize the experience for yourself. So as you can see that I can pick up the states that I want to see. I can choose the categories of compliances that are helpful for me. I can choose the regulators that I wish to track, and I can, choose the industries that I'm responsible for, and I can choose the newsletter that I would like to have subscribed to, which is daily, weekly, and monthly. It's a highly personalized experience, and you can start looking at that. You can also go to legal updates section. You can click on the notifications in the part of the legal updates, and all the thousands of notifications which have been released so far are all available here. So you can see that any notification, if you would like to see, just click on that notification and within seconds the notification loads up. So you can see that even as recently as January 21 notifications are available right here. So when you click on it, you will see the actual notification released by the corresponding authority is a part of that. You can go ahead and download it if you would like. So again, going back, if you are interested to know how others have used it, you can go to our case study section. When you click on any specific notification, you will see it is categorized by category type, which is central, state, level, act, and the corresponding ministry, regulator, and corresponding industry. And if you want to see the notification, you can click on that and actually see the notification that got released. So now stop wasting your time in searching for all these legal updates. Within seconds, go create an ID and start tracking all of these legal updates for free from our website on a day-to-day basis. There are a number of important blogs that we have published over a period of time, which can help you as important resources in starting your digital journey. Those blogs are also available on our website with a lot of lower level detail. I'd be happy to come meet your management team if you would like. Just give us a call and set up some time. I hope that answers your question. There are a number of YouTube resources also. You can look them up. Some of the past webinars are also available on YouTube. I invite you to join, to subscribe to our YouTube channel and start viewing them. It's 4 o'clock. It's time to wrap up. The recording of this webinar will also be available on our YouTube channel. So please look out for that. We should be able to make it available by tomorrow. So it was a pleasure talking to all of you one more time. I look forward to more engaging discussions. Would love to come and meet yourself and your management teams and have our sales teams have detailed conversations with you to help you kickstart a journey, which is a digital journey in the space of compliance management. Until next time, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.